Science of Mind by Ernest Holmes. Introduction, Part 2. The Way It Works. The science of mind is not a special revelation of any individual. It is rather the culmination of all revelations. We take the good wherever we find it, making it our own, insofar as we understand it. The realization that good is universal, and that as much good as any individual is able to incorporate in his life is his to use, is what constitutes the science of mind and spirit. We have discussed the nature of the thing as being universal energy, mind, intelligence, spirit, finding conscious and individualized centers of expression through us, and that man's intelligence is this universal mind, functioning at the level of man's concept of it. This is the essence of the whole teaching. Universal mind, or spirit, is God. There is a universal mind, spirit, intelligence, that is the origin of everything. It is first cause. It is God. This universal life and energy finds an outlet in and through all that is energized, and through everything that lives. There is one life back of everything that lives. There is one energy back of all that is energized. This energy is in everything. There is one spirit back of all expression. That is the meaning of that mystical saying, "In him we live and move and have our being." The life which we live is the universal life expressing through us. Else how could we live? Our thought and emotion is the use we make, consciously or unconsciously, of this original creative thing that is the cause of everything. Therefore we shall say that the mind, spirit, and intelligence which we find in ourselves is as much of this original creative God as we understand. That this is not robbing God is a self-evident fact. Since we are, then we are real and actual and have existence. And since we can reduce all that is to a fundamental unit, we find that we have this proposition. There is spirit, or this invisible cause, and nothing, out of which all things are to be made. Now spirit plus nothing leaves spirit only. Hence, there is one original cause and nothing, out of which we are made. In other words, we are made from this thing. That is why we are called the Son of God. We now know that this is what we are, because we could not be anything else. But we do not know how much of this we are. When we see it as it is, then we shall ourselves be as we are. We can only see it by looking at it through our own eyes. Hence, we shall find a better God when we shall have arrived at a higher standard for man. If God is to interpret himself to man, he must interpret himself through man. And the Spirit can make no gift that we do not accept. The seed of perfection is hidden within. This original life is infinite. It is good. It is filled with peace. It is of the essence of purity. It is the ultimate of intelligence. It is power. It is law. It is life. It is in us, in that inner sanctuary of our own nature, hidden perhaps from objective gaze, nestles the seed, perfection. In our ignorance of the truth, we have misused the highest power we possess. And so great is this power, so complete is our freedom in it, so absolute the domain of law through it, that the misuse of this power has brought upon us the very conditions from which we suffer. We are bound because we are first free. The power which appears to bind us is the only power in the universe which can free us. This is why Jesus summed up his whole philosophy in the simple statement, "It is done unto you as you believe." The great teacher looked so deeply into nature that she revealed her fundamental simplicity to him. That believe and that as symbolize heaven and hell. And so we suffer, not because suffering is imposed upon us, but because we are ignorant of our true nature. Spirit works for us by working through us. The thing, then, works for us by working through us and is us, always. It cannot work for us in any other way. It spreads itself over the whole universe and shouts at us from every angle. But it can become power to us only when we recognize it as power. We cannot recognize that it is while we are believing that it is not. Hence it is written, "They entered not in because of unbelief." We may enter in because of our belief, but we cannot enter while there is unbelief. Here we come to a house divided against itself. If we say we can only experience a little good, then we shall experience but a little good. But if we say, with Emerson, "There is no great and no small in the soul that maketh all," then we may experience a greater good, because we have conceived it. Therefore, our belief sets the limit of our demonstration of a principle which of itself is without limit. It is ready to fill everything, because it is infinite. So it is not a question of its willingness, nor of its ability. It is entirely a question of our own receptivity. How much can we believe? That we must go the way of the law is a fundamental tenet of this science, because nature obeys us as we first obey it, and our obedience to it is our acceptance of it. How much can we believe? As much as we can believe will be done unto us. When the consciousness speaks, the law receives and executes. When a farmer plants a seed, he invokes the law. That which follows is done by the mechanical side of nature, which has no volition of its own. Involution is the cause, and evolution is the effect. When a practitioner thinks or gives a treatment or makes a prayer, he is dealing with involution, the first step of the creative order. This is what the Bible calls the Word. That which follows is evolution, or the unfoldment of the Word, or concept, into objective existence. We are thinking, willing, knowing, conscious centers of life. We are surrounded by, immersed in, and there is flowing through us a creative something. Call it what you will. The sum total of all our thought, will, purpose, and belief creates a tendency in this law that causes it to react to us, according to the sum total of that belief. Ignorance of the law excuses no one from its effects. If, then, certain specific ways of thought and belief have produced limitations, other beliefs will change them. We must learn to believe. The approach should be direct, and it should be specific. Suppose one is laboring under the idea of limitation. His whole thought is a picture of limitation. Where is he placing himself in mind? Is he not, in substance, saying, "I cannot have and enjoy good things"? And he is demonstrating that he cannot have or accomplish good. It may take time to reshape the basis of his thought. He must commence by saying, "I perceive that because I am what I am, because of this infinite thing that overshadows eternity and find its abiding place in me, I know that good is now mine, all good." There is no mental coercion in this. We do not will things to be done. Things are brought into being, not by will, but by the power of the self-assertive truth. How much can one demonstrate? Just what one can believe. How much can we see? How much can we accept? How much can we find in our consciousness that is no longer repudiated by our own denials? Whatever that is, that much we can have. Good only, not good and evil. The gardener goes forth in faith to sow his seeds. He has learned that as he sows, so shall he reap, and that the law works for all alike. We must accustom ourselves to the concept of the impersonalness of the law, the availability of the law, and the mechanical accuracy of the law. If we can conceive only a little good, that is as much as we can experience. We must instill into the mind the fundamental proposition that good is without bounds. Only good and loving kindness shall follow me all the days of my life. We must get this concept, rather than continuing to think there is a power of evil as opposed to the power of good. We experience good and evil because we perceive a presence of duality rather than unity. Then, knowing that the thing can work for us only through us, let us begin to accept today more good than we experienced yesterday, and to know that we shall reap a harvest of fulfilled desires. The time must come when we shall have left the apparent evil behind, when it shall be rolled up like a scroll and numbered with the things that we were once thought to be. Let us realize and work with this sound knowledge and perfect faith, that as high as we shall make our mark in mind and spirit, so shall be its outward manifestation in our material world. End of part 2. The way it works. So, building on part 1 of the introduction, Ernest Holmes is letting us know that God or the Spirit or the law, the universal mind, works through us. It has to come through our consciousness. We have to be able to embody it. We have to be able to think in terms of truth if we're going to let God come through us and work for us. If we choose to think limiting beliefs, then God's not going to be able to help us, and we're not going to be able to express the good that we seek. So it's only by aligning our minds with the word of truth that we get to experience God and all the gifts of God, which are all good, everything good that we desire. Health, prosperity, love, joy, peace, harmony, health, everything good. So it's so important to study these principles of truth, because then we align ourselves with God and God works through us, and we have to embody that. It's something that we can do, and it's very exciting, very powerful. I look forward to part 3.